Not the jump scare of a thumbnail. Hi, hello. Welcome to Why Is He Still Awake Tarot, where we try to see the aim is to figure out why am I still awake. Now, to be fair, I should have went to bed hours ago. I was like fighting my sleep. I don't know why. One more reel, two more reels, five more, and then I'm going to bed. And here I am, four, if not 4.5-ish hours later. And I was about to go to sleep again. And then I saw a reel with Bratsune Miku. And I was trying to do like a pigtail thing maybe last week or earlier this week. Like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, maybe. And it wasn't working. But when I saw the Bratsune Miku, I was like, wait, I can do that. And then from there, it went here, and then it went here, and then it went here. And I was like, I might as well go live. So, I know what I'm looking for. This is going to be a ride. It's an OJO Oracle Juice Live. This time the Oracle Juice is alcohol and water, but it's mainly alcohol. This video is not sponsored by Mike's, or anybody else. I don't know where I put my water. So I'm using the 4 chems today, and then there may be a 5th deck that like consolidates. Hello, am I live? Un momento, por favor. Oh, I was gonna get on here like Hajime Mashite minasan. Wait. No. Well, I was. That's what I thought. But I meant to say konbanwa minasama. Hello, everyone. I'm just going to pull this up so I cannot distract myself, but keep an eye on if I get stuck in like a buffer or whatever. Ooh, that jump scare of a thumbnail. I know I'm looking before and after Rex Marinus. I feel like if I look before and after Rex Marinus, I probably shouldn't look before and after the ocean, right? I was thinking of maybe the Pilgrim and be like an SKT Six of Swords is different than a lot of other Six of Swords is image wise. Great work in Sun Splendor at the cut. Okay. Oh. That look in these contacts, not the vibe. I just go, what? I was like down here or whatever, and I just glance at the. Yeah. It's so much freakier with these in. I looked up, I don't know, I had a feeling. Excuse me. Here we are. Back again. So I guess it preempted the disconnect. But I'm back. I done switched to the 5G. So hopefully we have less interruptions. Here's hoping. I probably should have had a thing. I'm starting to sweat. Let me stop. The deer. I've seen the deer recently. I'm looking before and after the deer and the elk. Look at this doe buck king and queen of pentacles energy. Interesting. And the black egg. And the buffalo. I know I'm looking before and after the dolphin, the rabbit, and the deer. The deer stayed at the bottom of the deck the whole time. Never moved. Excuse me. The deer came out one time and she was just like staring at me. And I didn't know what or like why. So I remember being like, here's the deer. See if she speaks to you because she's just staring at me. Now I said Rex Marinus because I forgot the ocean, excuse me, was in the water known archetypes. I know I'm looking before and after the dolphin. Thematically, the chariot. Okay. Because the image on the Six of Swords might actually have a deer on it. And because the deer was staring at me, I think I am going to go for the Six of Swords actually and not the chariot. So the dolphin, the chariot, Rex Marinus. And I was thinking maybe the dead end, maybe the empty room. No. The dead end, yeah, those are, I don't know why I keep thinking those are alchemy cards. I did that last time. Either the ocean, the empty room, the pilgrim. I'm not sure. Let's get what we know we're going for first, which is Rex Marinus, the Raven's Head, and Mercury. This Raven's Head has been coming out a lot lately. Venus. All right. I'm looking before and after Rex Marinus, which also has been coming out lately, but a little bit different of a context potentially today. I guess one more of these, maybe, and lead. Interesting. It's a time to rely on only what is reliable, right? Oh no, that's iron. I don't have the book. Lead is the base material. Need my glasses. The contacts are obviously cosmetic. I think somebody said something. So I have readers. That's besides the point. Let me try to focus. Ooh, ooh, girl. That one was a little spicy. I'm so sorry, but it was. Oh, I felt it in my nose. Almost burnt my nose hairs a little bit. Lead is Saturn. It's also number 20, which is judgment. Oh, girl. Did that just come from the condensation? Ooh. There we go. Buffed it out. Bottom of the deck is the Despicable Face, Yosis Reddening, and the Uncreated. This is almost something to do with shame. The Despicable Face and Reddening, this is like someone blushing and like some kind of embarrassment. And with the Uncreated, well, actually, the Uncreated makes sense for what this is. Like I said in the beginning, it's an OJL, which means I consume alcohol. And we're just come along for the ride or don't. Use your intuition and discernment always. The Uncreated makes so much sense. Because I'm trying to think for the sense that the Uncreated makes, a face that burns in shame or embarrassment doesn't necessarily. How this reads outside of the larger context is it's like because of embarrassment or shame or something like that, there's something that remains uncreated, something that remains unsaid, something that remains undone. And then the red and white rose comes out next. But the thing about the red and white rose is that the colors don't mix. And if someone's like blushing, they kind of have mixed. So it's almost an energy that's like, even if you're embarrassed, even if you're like, whatever, it's almost like keep the feeling separate from the action. Like you can feel shy, you can feel embarrassed, and still be brave enough or courageous enough to do something anyway, right? The thing about the red and white rose is that the colors stay separate. You can feel the emotion, you can feel the feeling, but not allow that to bleed into what it is that you're doing or how you show up in the world. In a very, and like when it comes to the Uncreated, it's not necessarily giving me a keeper energy, but it's almost similar to it. Maybe it's something that's like so outlandish or out there, something that's so unorthodox, something that is like so far ahead of its time, whatever, that it's almost like it could be in the realm of ideas, excuse me, that multiple people have, like a download that a bunch of people get, but for some reason, no one's brought it to fruition yet. Because it's almost like the closer they get, the hotter their cheeks get with this reddening of the despicable face. And then someone chooses silence because the red bleeds into the white. Cool. I'll set these aside because I almost always end up referring to them. Ooh, okay. All right, all right. I'm looking for Rex Marinus. Oh, I could have looked for the Azure Temple. If I had looked for the Azure Temple instead of Rex Marinus, it would have been between Copper and the Androgen. Which, in a way, would have been a reuniting of masculine and feminine energies and forces. Because we've just seen the androgen with separation. And it's like the androgen divine energy before it split into Kirsty. Hey, how art thou? It's so lovely to see you. Thanks for stopping by and saying hi. I hope everything's well. Excuse me. Um, it's like divine energy broke up into divine feminine and divine masculine, or the like, right? So to have that copper there as an element associated with Venus would have been the reunification of those. But I forgot about the Azure Temple. So, and who's to say that if I would have actually looked for that, the cards would have been the same? Ooh, it is a time to rely on only what is reliable. There's that iron again, Rex Marinus, and Summer. Was this not? And then there's Saturn. So before is Smoke, after is Saturn. I almost want to give this another shuffle because we've seen these together. I'm pretty sure. So we have lead and iron. I guess when I accidentally said it's a time to rely on only what is reliable earlier, the card actually came out. Summer. I feel like you can tell that we're about to enter. Wait, hold up. No, today is, I think, Kathy's birthday. I think. If it is, happy birthday, Kathy. If it isn't, happy belated birthday, Kathy. Aw. Yeah, I saw something on Instagram and I was like, you know what? If I do like cosplay or whatever, I don't know. It's like 4 a.m. I was literally scrolling on my phone about to go to sleep and I saw a reel and I was like, I think I could do that. And then after I did this, and then this, and then these, and then I was like, I guess I'm going live. So that's the process. Even though this is something that I was going to do um, before. Hmm. I was potentially going to do it yesterday. Kind of, sort of. Kind of, sort of, kind of, sort of. Hmm. Excuse me. Now, what's interesting is lead was associated with gold. Not lead, sorry, iron. Iron was associated with gold. We just saw that. So, in a way, makes sense. Eight of Pentacles in the Tower. Eight of Pentacles in the Tower, because this is a spider, it gives the energy of a destroyed web. Maybe only partially destroyed. If the forces of time and space, the hangman just made noise, it like revealed itself. The Ace of Wands and the Two of Swords. It's interesting because we just saw this in the elk card that came out with the deer at the cut of the water-known animal spirits. Bottom of the deck is the moon, the Ace of Swords, and the Father of Wands. I call myself having this little fan here that's doing absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Actually, I could have moved it. That's fine. Look how like dark all of these are. And it is a snake coiled around the sword. It's a rainbow snake coiled around the sword. And then we have the rainbow lightning bolt on the Father of Swords. The Father of Swords is a cobra, and in the water known animal spirits, the cobra is the energy of the master. When the teacher is ready, the master appears. When the student is ready, the master appears. It's interesting that I said teacher, though, because that is the queen meeting the king, in a way. The teacher and the sage. So there is an almost hierophantic energy here. I feel like in all of the major arcana, the Hierophant is the closest to a teacher in the way that they stand as liaison between the divine and the mundane or humanity. But with the moon here, and the context for this is the Ace of Wands and the Two of Swords. The Ace of Wands is inspiration, right? The Two of Swords is the battle of the inspired thing against reality in whatever way. Either like the technology doesn't yet exist to make a certain idea a reality, excuse me, or something like that, right? There's some like logical reason why whatever idea springs with the Ace of Wands like can't come into being. But it feels like that very clash in and of itself might breed some kind of invention or breakthrough, because it's like that's this moon energy and navigating the like challenges and difficulties of making this thing a reality. There's some deeper truth. It's almost like there's some deeper, it's not a deeper truth. If this were to play out, it's almost like the more someone looks into bringing their idea to life, the better they see these things that keep it from being a thing that don't necessarily have to limit whatever the Ace of Wands is. And that leads to this truth that leads to that Father of Wands energy. Maybe that's what attracts the master, or maybe it opens the door to a whole lot more. And again, it's like there's something that's been an obstacle that doesn't necessarily have to be. Or the breakthrough is just like because we think that certain things are and that they must be, in the brainstorming or in the process of bringing this idea to fruition, we find out that, again, like they don't necessarily have to be. And then maybe it's one of those, okay, well, if this is like flexible, then what else is flexible? Or something else. I'm getting lost. I'm getting stuck here. not getting stuck or lost, but I'm spending more time here. And again, I guess we did have the face that burns with shame. And maybe because something was like unrealistic or it was out there. And with the energy of the Hierophant, maybe it's something like very groundbreaking. If the Hierophant also symbolizes like traditions and stuff like that. Right? And so it's in the pursuit of this thing. Because again, with the red and white rose, even if something isn't immediately like logically feasible or whatever, it doesn't mean that it's not to be pursued. And it can be in the pursuit of something that a greater truth is revealed, and that's the point. Right? Maybe what is divinely inspired is so that we look at something else, and that was the point. Maybe the point isn't to necessarily bring it to fruition, or maybe it is. But it's almost like it's like it's something that could have stopped a lot of other people. It could be like like everyone I talk to about this says that it's not possible or it's not feasible or it won't work for this reason or that reason. It's like if you get into the science of it, like there's a very scientific reason why maybe it won't work. But the thing about science is that it's built upon and also limited by our understanding of things. And with that moon energy that leads to the Ace of Swords, there's something somewhere that we may not understand as well as we think we do. And so the blockage or the wall, when it comes to the fulfillment or the materialization of this thing, is illusory. But we have to be brave enough to challenge it. Excuse me. Looking for the Six of Swords. And I guess I'm going for the image. Interesting. Oh, whoa, whoa, okay. Whoa, this is what an interesting run of cards. Cause I'm like, it's like major, 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 major. I'm like, okay, hold up. So this is what we'll do. We have Death, the Six of Swords, and the Six of Wands. Emphasis on the transformation of death and transformation. After the Six of Wands is strength and the world. And then the Two of Wands, which is like the opening of a pathway. It's the rails. Before death is the devil, the emperor, and the tower. The tower with the emperor, death, or the devil with death. The Queen of Swords is before that with the sun before that, right? And then after the world is the Two of Wands, Daughter of Wands, and then the Empress. Oh, the Emperor and the Empress both sort of sit around this energy. There we go. Hello? I haven't pulled these yet. Oh, interesting. We have Saturn and the Devil. And the Devil corresponds to Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. under Saturn is Jupiter, interestingly enough. Jupiter is in Cancer, and it's going to be trining, at least by sign, Saturn. I don't follow the planets like I used to. It's funny that death is here because I was. Maybe I still will. I also considered looking around Thanatos, but oh, remember when we saw, I think it was Thanatos and the sword, and I was like, I don't know what this is. I'm just going to leave it. Am I going to look before and after Thanatos? I'm not sure. Next, I guess I'll look around. Am I doing the ocean? The dolphin. Next is the dolphin. And then I don't know what archetype. The camel and the swan we're looking for. This is like Death and the Six of Wands is such an interesting energy. It's very, bro, it is trigger warning territory. It's like there's a procedure that is, we'll say, semi optional. And it's like if the procedure succeeds, your whole life is going to change. If it fails, then if there are complications, they can be very, they could impact one's health greatly. It isn't necessarily the energy of that saying, like, if we stagnate, we die, or once we stop growing, once we stop changing, once we stop evolving, we die. You could say that, but it would be like a sort of circumstantial fit more so than a matter of resonance to the energy. The thing is, if the transformation does happen, then all of this is left in the past. And it will like never be a concern ever again. The clam, the oyster, sorry, oyster at the bottom of the deck with the snake at the cut. That's like new pearl loading. The eagle and the snake. The eagle and the snake is Apep, and I literally just looked it up not too long ago. It may be Ra. I'm in Ra. Um, the eagle represents order. The snake represents chaos. In the Spirit Keeper's Tarot, the Queen of Swords, Ivory Shield, has the eagle and the snake motif on their shield. We did see the Mother of Swords, which is the Queen of Swords, before the Tower, because it was the Devil, the Emperor, the Tower, and then I'm pretty sure it was that Queen of Swords. I'll give it one more and a cut. We have the dragon, the spider, and the bee as the bottom three cards. We saw the Eight of Wands with the Tower. The bat is under this. Since we saw the tower with the spider, we know that the spider's web is disrupted in some way. The dragon, I guess, frees the bee from the spider's web because it's like the circle around the bee is like the hole in the web that it got caught in. It's been freed by the dragon. So the question would then be, how does a beast as mighty and assumedly big as the dragon free the creature as small as the bee from the web without killing the bee? It's funny that I have the archetype book is the only book that I left out. I'm not necessarily going to use it, but excuse me, that is the one where the question remains. The phoenix, the dolphin, and the raccoon. After the raccoon is the deer. Before the phoenix is the panther. Interesting. We just had death as the card before. Now we have the phoenix. I'm on the internet enough that I've always seen something. I just saw a reel. It was one of those reels that kept me awake when I should have went to sleep before I hit my like second wind. It was someone was like a raccoon giving a rating for different foods, and I guess she like I don't know if it was a she or not. They put food on like their windowsill, and they open the window, and the raccoons like come up and eat it. So they had like pizza, strawberries, Fruit Loops, other foods I don't remember. I don't think the raccoons were a big fan of fruits because they didn't mess with the strawberries and it was something else they didn't mess with. So all the cards before we have Summer, Death, and the Phoenix. The cards after Iron, the Six of Wands, and the Raccoon. There's an obvious link between summer, the hottest month, death, and then the phoenix, because the phoenix rises from the ashes. I could see there being a link between iron and the Six of Wands, especially iron. It's a time to rely on only what is reliable. Six of Wands, it's like you can rely on the butterfly because it will never get caught in this mess again. When it was a caterpillar, sure, but as a butterfly, it can fly above it. But the raccoon, low hanging fruit, the raccoon would be. No, 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 no. Low hanging fruit, the raccoon would be like tests or something. Like the thicket of briars and thorns, the brambles are gonna like expand as the curse on Sleeping Beauty question mark just continues to be. It grows like thicker and thicker. I don't know, the raccoon's kind of throwing me a little bit. But now, also, we've had iron, which is the base material, right? Or lead, sorry. We had lead, which is the base material. The alchemist turns lead into gold. We also had the Ace of Wands and the Two of Swords, would be the inspiration, which would be the inspiration to turn lead into gold. Maybe for some reason the science doesn't work or it shouldn't be plausible, which is why we have the moon, the Ace of Swords, and the card after the Ace of Swords, the Father of Wands. Now, there was no card that came out for the animals. I'm trying to think of an archetype. I don't want to look for the ocean because Rex Marinus is already here. The Siren. That was easy. The King in the Box. When I was shuffling this, I saw the box and the threshold, which is such an interesting combination because usually when you're at a threshold, when you're at the precipice, you are kind of sort of at cliff's edge. You can see, even if it's like a gap or a void or whatever, you can see that you're at the end. But when it comes to the box, it's almost like you hit the wall of the box and then you follow it to another wall. And then maybe you follow that to another wall and then another wall. And then on the next pass, you'll hit the original wall that you were already at. And then you figure out you're in a box. The threshold for the box is like, again, it's like four walls. It's not like the edge of a cliff where, you know, I knew it would come to me. Gnosis, the medallion and the vision. Interesting. I already forgot what I said I was looking for. Oh, come on, Patrick. What was it? Anima Mundi and Gnosis. Anima Mundi and Gnosis is such an interesting combination. Gnosis is like the beginning of knowing, the beginning of knowledge. Anima Mundi is the spirit of the world. So it's beginning to know the spirit of the world. Did you see that? How that one drip drop just completely, oops, just like completely missed my mouth. Oh, how embarrassing. I mean, not really, but the sentiment is there. Like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. I missed my mouth. Anyway. Oh, these like. Oh, I have these right here. Just like that, my forehead a little bit. Get the splat. Beginning to know the spirit of the world feels like that's that Ace of Wands, Two of Swords that led to the Moon, the Ace of Swords, and the Father of Wands. Getting to know the truth beyond imposed limitations, especially since we were just talking about the box. Now, when it comes to us and the spirit of the world, there are two boxes. There's the box of our understanding, and then there's the box of the machine. And the machine being the laws of physics and other laws, divine laws, that keep everything running smoothly with little to no um, like maintenance or supervision needed, like the default mode of operation. But when you begin to know the spirit of the world, again, it taps into that same burgeoning understanding, question mark, that was that like Moon Ace of Swords energy, where it's like almost like there are premium features, or like there's the hidden menu, like the secret menu, advanced settings type energy. Okay, one more. And the cut. The shadow, the fault line, and Thanatos. The warrior is after that. This is very like grayscale. The shadow, the fault line, and Thanatos. She's giving Shadow Realm energy. There's an audiobook I'm listening to where the Shadow Realm is a sub level of reality, question mark, where there's no sun, and because there's no sun it's colder. And in general, time passes in the Shadow Realm much, much, much quicker than in the physical realm. So as someone walks through the Shadow Realm, as they like enter the Shadow Realm and then reemerge, it looks to other people like they're teleporting, because that's the difference in time. So now there's almost like a time dilation type energy, and it's too late for that. Okay, so it's I was gonna look for Thanatos. I was considering Thanatos for the aspect of like when we saw Thanatos and the sword together. And what's interesting is, okay, with the fault line and Thanatos, the the break has already been made, so there's no need to cut with the sword. Right. When again comes to, I believe they call it shadow skipping, which again to other people seems like teleportation, but for the people that actually shadow skip, you just enter the shadow realm and then you move to your destination and then you exit. So it's almost like one of those systems of magic where magic is a thing of convenience, but the spiritual energetic cost is similar to like if you would have physically done the thing. So ultimately you save time, and I guess it looks cool. Um, Now, in the audio book, there's also one-way portals and there's like two-way portals, not connected to the shadow realm specifically, but meaning it's almost like there are some probably unpleasant forces that emerge from that place. Actually, that does happen. They get ambushed, and everyone is like, how did we get ambushed? They were ambushed from the shadow realm. And you see the footprints in the shadow realm, but in regular reality, it's like the trail ends here. They just appear out of nowhere. But going back to the Ace of Wands and the Two of Swords, especially with this Shadow Fault Line Thanatos energy, it's almost like it gives me nuclear, like because of what happened with the, because of like global exposure to nuclear energy was through warfare, we have a certain perception around it. So there are actually other things that nuclear energy could be used for. But because of our introduction to it, because we understand the scope and magnitude of its destructive potential, we become wary of some of the positive benefits. Interesting. The fault line in Thanatos also reminds me, I think it came out recently, of one of the Dungeons and Dragons booster packs where there was like a realm between realms that could be used to traverse whatever the sort of place was. We're looking for. I already forgot. This is the second time I've forgotten. What are we looking for? It's not the Pilgrim. It's not Thanatos. I want to say if I see it, I'll remember, but I might just have to rewind the video because I don't know. I don't remember. If I see it, I might remember. Oh, I could have went for the unseen. The Siren. That's what I was looking for. The Mystic, because of course. The Siren and the Bardo, because of course. After the Bardo is the Flame, before the Mystic is the Threshold. The Threshold in the box, together again. The Shaman, the Threshold in the box. And the Healer is before the Shaman, which also features a snake. After the Flame is Kairos and Agape. I love this trio of cards. I don't know, it feels like time spent with the divine. Whoa. What is happening over there? Why does it look like the quality is like dipped? Hello? Well, the internet hasn't given up, but it looks like it's fighting. It's there's a third eye with this mystic, or with the Bardo. It's like one, two, and then there's the third one. Oh my gosh, this is such this energy. I'm not even looking at numbers, but the siren is number 18, which is the moon. I feel like swinging. It's the alcohol plus bedtime. This is in the I Ching. This isn't number I Ching number 36. I Ching number 36 is dark in the light. One of the I Chings mentions it may be 63 or 64, where the fire from within, it's like where internal fire is brighter than external fire because we have the moth and the flame between the mystic and the flame, but there's a flame inside of this moth that burns brighter than this flame. So it's not consumed by it. It's not blinded by the light of the flame. Summer, death, Phoenix, and the mystic. Excuse me. I pulled out my phone, but I don't have the book of maps on my phone, so give me 1 minute. Can you see the beads of sweat forming upon my brow? I can feel them. Book of maps. I feel like it's I Ching number 63 or 64. I could be completely wrong though. Now, the good thing about it being a PDF is that I could search and find it. That I'm going to do 63 and 64 first because I feel like it was towards the end. Actually, maybe it wasn't. I'm going to look for a fire within. Was it fire within or was it flame within? Flame within? It didn't ping either one of those. I know it's within. Oh, well, okay. Oh, well, this is every time within appears. Oh, goodness. I'll just keep going until I hit the I Ching, I guess. If I read it, I would probably see it. Okay, yeah, this is taking too long. In the Osho Zen, not the Osho Zen, in the I Ching Oracle cards, it might be not togetherness, but it's something like that. Excuse me. Give me a moment, please, to find. Also, shadow work. Shadow work done is what is going to get someone through the realm of Thanatos without being consumed or lost in the darkness. Here we go. Okay, let's see. Oh, girl, there's like 64 of these. Is it like 34, maybe? I know it has to do. It has to deal with fire. Accolades, polarizing, attachment. I think it's that one. Eaching number 30. Let's see. I knew fire had to be one of the. Well, I think fire has to be one of the trigrams because it is pivotal. It's 26, 7, 8, 9, 30. Emotional attachment, clinging. You are clinging on emotionally. You hope you can depend or rely on one who you have attached yourself emotionally to. Yet, for the matter at hand, clinging is auspicious. Nurturing and caring for the fertile cow will bring prosperity. Though you cling, do persevere. You must burn with fire from within and not rely on the external burning of fire. The luminous fire must start from within and burn outward. Clinging and emotional attachment is auspicious if the inner fire itself burns bright. And it's interesting that this is clinging and attachment, and it mentions how it's like auspicious to cling to something because, and fire, iron, Mars, it is a time to rely on only what is reliable. So, if the fire that you hold burns brightly and what you cling to is reliable, then for all intents and purposes, it is auspicious. Summer is a time where the days are the longest. So, if one if one had to journey through the underworld or engage with the energy of death, it's almost like you would want to do it in the summer because it's the time when the nights are the shortest. If you walk through the underworld in the winter or in the fall, almost when it's seasonally appropriate, that's also when the nights are longer. And so it's a little bit more difficult. But also, because the shadow realm is cold, because there is no sun and there is no heat, it would be hard to ignite the ashes of the phoenix for it to be reborn, which is another reason why the flame inside of the mystic, the flame inside of um, the shadow skipper, must burn so brightly to combat the natural environment of that shadowy plane, excuse me, of the realm of Thanatos. It's also interesting. uh, It's moth coated to me, and the flame was at the bottom. But it's interesting that we have like both this butterfly and moth sort of motif showing up. Excuse me. So that's the right side. All the cards before. Summer, death, phoenix, mystic. Summer because the days are the longest. So the influence of the underworld is the weakest. And influence being like when you're in a realm, you're always going to be subjected. It's almost like that realm is always going to have a certain position of power because you are immersed within it. But there's a seasonality because the card came out of this underworld energy. So it's almost like even if things were to happen, even if we were to be like plunged into some kind of darkness, or even if we were to almost want to say intrude upon, but I almost want to say uh, like a reverse intrusion because it's the summer. That realm's influence is at its weakest. The night is the shortest, and it's like the easiest time to not be consumed. But we know that the dead bird, and it is a bird, is a phoenix. Also, we have the Ace of Wands with that Two of Swords. Ace of Wands is the spark to reignite the ashes of the phoenix and to see it reborn. Again, with the mystic and that I Ching, it's when the fire burns brightly from within. So that's that. It could be that smoke inhalation, and the dragon is here. The dragon was the card at the bottom of the deck, right? Um, because there was the energy of dragon breath last time with the smoke, breath, and the fog. But it's almost like instead of a dragon being born, it's a phoenix. The phoenix is the feminine element, the dragon is the masculine element. And in the SKT Benabel, um, on the lovers cards, Six of Cups, and there's another card with lovers energy. I don't remember. The devil. Excuse me, and the devil that chained. She uses the phoenix and the dragon. The phoenix is the feminine element, the descent of the goddess into the underworld. We have Anana, who became Ishtar, Anana Ishtar. Um, there's a few other goddesses too that have descended into the underworld and that emerged more powerful. Um, we did see Venus in the alchemy and copper, her element. But yeah, it's like because this internal fire is so bright, as the ashes of the as these ashes are inhaled, they're reignited internally, and so that phoenix energy burns from within. Now, that gives us our bird snake imagery in like Kundalini rising. It's the serpent that rises with the sensation of heat, but this isn't a serpent, it's a phoenix. So I don't know if that's an energy that's like it could be something that happens that might make us think it's Kundalini, but it's not. I don't know. I don't even know if it'll necessarily matter. Excuse me. Or if it's just semantics. Let me open my eyes. Then on the other side, we have iron, the Six of Wands, the raccoon, and the bardo. The raccoon here, and again, I think one of the low hanging fruit first impressions of that energy was it's like circumstances, situations, people, events that challenge the transformation. But, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be challenging by intention or by design. It can be challenging just through the aspect of living life, right? You reach some transition, transformation point in your life, but you are the same individual. And so maybe you have friends or other people who knew you pre transformation who may not be aware. And so if they're like, hey, like you want to go out and party this weekend and you don't party anymore for whatever reason, it's not like, it's like it is a test, but it isn't, but it is, but it's not, because it's just like life, right? It's like if you have arachnophobia and part of your work is to get over your fear of spiders, like spiders just sort of happen. They don't always have to be intentionally put in your path to be a test. Not always, but kind of, sort of, but not always type energy. And then there's the bardo. The thing about the bardo is, though, now it's this energy of like, can we allow ourselves our transformation? Or do we go back and revert? And so it is almost a time of challenge and a time of tests, but not necessarily. Okay, I gotta go to the restroom. I'll be back. I'm not trying to. Okay, so this actually makes sense. The siren is the pool, right? But it's the pool to what is, again, I gave like no context as to why I use the significators that I use. I had a dream, and the dream is what led me to choose the significators that I chose, right? And so with the thing about the raccoon being a sort of temptation to revert is it like keeps us in the bardo rather than us. It's almost how like the Israelites question mark roamed the desert question mark for like 40 years before they finally made it to the promised land, right? They were like liberated, but they were unable to make it to the promised land for 40 years because there was like the whole calf thing, and then there were other things that kept them sort of like spinning the block, circling in that bardo, right? Not under the rule of like the Pharaoh and stuff like that, but not yet at the promised land either. Just wandering the wilderness. So I guess it would be kind of like allow yourself your rebirth. Cool. I don't think I'm going to go for a fifth deck because there's no need to. It's a time to rely on what is reliable in this time of rebirth and transformation. The influence, I mean, next month is like literally Halloween, where the veil is the thinnest. Spooky, spooky content. But it's like the influence of the underworld is at its weakest. Even though it is strengthening because we're going into the fall, the days are already getting shorter. It was like 7:30 and dark outside, and I'm not. That's how I know that like winter is coming and that we're about at fall. Because a week ago, 7:30 was still daylight. But it's a time to rely on only what is reliable. Trust the work that you've done and the growth you've yet to do as you navigate a realm of seeming impossibility, right? Keep your internal fire stoked because if you breathe in ash or the air of the underworld, Thanatos, it's almost like without that fire, it can like settle in the lungs. Excuse me. And no, always be like lenient and patient with yourself, but also know that sometimes you are the thing that moves things forward or that accepts, that receives, that materializes, that presses on, that motivates certain outcomes. And it's like as you're navigating choices and decisions or life in this time, as difficult as it may be, it's almost like there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But again, because of the Phoenix, the I Ching, because of the energy here, it's like that light at the end of the tunnel corresponds to or is as strong or bright as the light that you hold within. And the lights, it's fine. So there we go. All right, I'm ready for bed now. Now I gotta take the contacts out. Fortunately, I know how to take them out now. Back in the day, I used to struggle to the point of frustration and tears. I would be crying trying to get my contacts out. Prescribed contacts. The Lover, the River, and the Starborn. So I had a dream, right? I spoke about the dream with the Holy Mountain. I had a dream recently of like trying to find another timeline, basically, you could say. And there was an ocean that was navigated, there was a dolphin that was significant. Also, there was a pool or a split in consciousness. Right? As a consciousness in one timeline, seeking another timeline. So that's why I went for the siren, Rex Marinus for the ocean, the dolphin for the dolphin, and the Six of Swords for the energy of like traveling. But not major arcana. Also, again, whatever this energy is, it at the moment is more voluntary. I feel like the energy of the underworld is interesting because it's a type of living death, and it's living death in the way of like when we go through the transformation process, reincarnation, but we are in the same incarnation, and it's a transition transformation that is significant enough that we have to traverse the realm of Thanatos to do it, make it happen, whatever, what have you. But we don't want to get lost there. Because that's one of those, like, the living should not enter the realm of the dead. You end up going for real. You'd be like, I'm still alive. You can't do this. The Hermit and the Six of Pentacles. I think Six of Pentacles is Moon in Taurus, maybe? I feel like no. Maybe. I don't remember. Oh, that's what card I flipped over. The Six of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the Five of Pentacles. What's interesting about this Five of Pentacles and Six of Swords in particular is that it's almost like the situation, the circumstances, the events are the same. There's this wilted flower and the Five of Pentacles, and then there's this like dreary rain in the Six of Swords. But in the Six of Swords, there's this like rainbow. this promise that a storm will come to an end. And in the Five of Pentacles, it's like it's not that it's lost that perspective. Also, the Ten of Pentacles is behind that Five of Pentacles. The Hanged Man is behind the Ten of Pentacles. The Six of Swords has a viewpoint and perspective that the Five of Pentacles doesn't have. The Five of Pentacles doesn't see an end or a way out, where the Six of Swords sort of does. And again, that rainbow is tied to the Ten of Pentacles, literally right there. This could be the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Cool. I'm like trying to hurry up and close this so I can get to sleep before I have like a third wind or a fourth. Because if I'm up long enough, I'll get another one. And then I'll be up until 10 a.m. The spider and the jaguar. Panther, sorry. That spider again. The gazelle and the spider. And with the tower and the spider, it doesn't feel like the entire spider web is destroyed. It feels like a section of it, especially with the bee, right? With that dragon. And that was, again, the question. How does the dragon free the bee from the spider's web without, one, completely destroying the whole thing, and two, killing the bee? And it's like the capabilities of dragons, that's for the dragons to sort of like understand, right? Sorry. I'm like, let's see. We're gonna do a little Chun-Li. No. I don't know how the dragons do it. Um, yeah. All right, let's get this one. Oh, the unicorn at the bottom of the deck. I am the elephant. I have seen, it's like everybody's looking for a unicorn. The job market these days, in a lot of places, it seems like it's kind of rough. Um, hello? There we go. Just like feed it through, feed it through. There we go. Watch me struggle live. And I literally just saw a post on Reddit that was like, people are looking for unicorns and blah, blah, blah. And maybe that is similar, this energy in that whole like navigating the bardo, navigating the underworld, and not succumbing to its influences. Um, yeah, I don't know what mental or favor. And in the dream, there was an impression of like with the raccoon and the bardo, which like when I went to the bathroom, I remembered why it makes sense, because there were some who were making that transition, but at a certain point, it was like they, it was difficult to reconcile. Maybe reconcile isn't the word. It kind of is. It was like there was a difficulty in reconciling someone's identity with like where they were and where they were going. And like the whole like ego, I am. Um, because like it's important to have the flame that burns within, right? It's important to have a strong enough sense of self that it's important that to have a strong enough sense of self to make it through Thanatos, Shadow Realm, the underworld, but to have enough flexibility and fluidity to allow oneself to like change in a way. I don't know how else to put that. Yeah, the elephant was at the bottom. All right, final card. Please. I would just sleep in these contacts, but oh, that is too many. The owl, vulture, fire ants, stingray, fish, and the lamb. Owl and vulture is to see the things that need be let go, transformed. Um, I think like scavengers decompose. That of the old that needs to be let go to make room for the new. Right. The fire ant and stingray energies. It's almost like these complications in reaching and maintaining a sort of sense of alignment because that vulture energy, while necessary, it doesn't necessarily feel pleasant. Like vultures, like kind of sort of pick at carcasses, right? And so, if someone's flesh is like slightly necrotized, or it's like there are fish that only eat like dead skin, right? And so there's the like the foot soaking tub, like you put your feet in the water with the fish and they eat all the dead skin off your feet or whatever. It's like that. But the vulture does like peck at it. So there could be relatively minor inconveniences, or it could be like this triggering that happens, and the triggering itself is not, again, with the despicable face reddening and then the red and white rose. The triggering itself is not necessarily indicative of anything. The emotions that come up aren't necessarily indicative of anything. But the point is to have our eye on the prize enough to allow that like pecking, uncomfortability, triggering, whatever to like happen, but it not cause us to stop in the middle of the bargo. We don't allow it to halt the journey. Can it delay? Sure. Or interrupt? Yes. I wouldn't necessarily think perfection is expected or necessary, but it's like, can we keep moving forward? And then with the fish and the lamb, it's like slowly but surely, not only do we find our way to our destination through that shadow realm underworld energy, but we become stronger because of it. With that experience, it's an opportunity for us to learn that fear doesn't have to be the thing that keeps us from living our dreams, and that like an awkward moment or potential embarrassment or other things doesn't have to keep us silent to the point where we miss out on meeting, like making important connections or voicing our opinions, concerns, resolutions, and solutions when they're needed. Like it makes us stronger for having gone through the process. And the thing, especially for some people, is it doesn't necessarily get easier to combat like a thought of like potential embarrassment or shame or whatever. But we build up a set of experiences where we can go like, oh well, like I was also like afraid of embarrassing myself at this point, but everything turned out okay, and like I was like a really whatever at this other point, but like I worked through it and everything was fine. So like, if it happened once, it can happen again. And at that same point, at that same point, we like retrain our brains. We form those new neurological pathways. We say thank you for neuroplasticity and growth. The crow and the bear. The fox and the crow. The crow and the bear, the fox and the crow. The crow and the bear felt like while the bear is hibernating, the crow is holding something for the bear. The fox and the crow is the Aesop fable. The crow had like a piece of cheese that the fox wanted. And so the fox was like, hey, give me that cheese. And the crow was like, no, this is my cheese. And then the fox was like, oh, like, I bet you have such a beautiful singing voice. You're gorgeous. Like, I want to hear you sing. And the crow was like, okay. And it opened its beak to sing for the fox. The cheese fell out. The fox got his meal and kept it moving. The fox played the crow. And maybe that's another thing. Maybe there's going to be an opportunity or a situation, a scenario where if we're feeling particularly triggered or whatever, where we kind like maybe we'll want to play to our strengths or engage in some distraction. It doesn't necessarily have to be full blown self sabotage, but it's like it's again in that situation, it would be better to just be vulnerable, right? Lest the fox get the piece of cheese. Final animal, please. Like one or two and not six. I just saw, I think, the hawk and the elephant. That's too many. I said not six. One, two, three, four, five, six. The nightingale, panther, dolphin, moth, hummingbird, lamb, and eagle. Actually, seven. And the bottom of the deck was the golden egg. I'm not reading all that. I should have just kept those six cards and kept it moving. I'll come back. And again, like the first alchemy that came out was lead. This is the base sort of experience that we turn into gold. And it was, I don't know, it was such an interesting dream, but kind of weird at the same time. Like there were sensations and feelings in the dream that I don't know if I've ever necessarily felt in real life, and that I don't necessarily know if I ever would have the opportunity to feel in real life. Not as viscerally as I felt it in the dream, for sure. I think symbolically and metaphorically in some ways, yes. And in some ways, those have been worse. Oof. Shout out to 2011 Patrick freshman year. 2011, 2012. And the struggle. All right. Well, I don't know now for the cards. Final card, please. It's been an hour and 42 minutes, and I'm trying to get to bed. Ooh, gold. Okay. Well, we saw. Oh, yeah, because we're turning lead into gold. Gold is here somewhere. Gold, yellowing, sparks of light, and rotation. Bottom of the deck is copper. Again, metal of Venus. Gold, yellowing, sparks of light, rotation. Gold and then yellowing is almost a crazy combination. Almost. Now the gold could be rubbing off on something and turning it yellow. That yellowing could be like a gilded energy covering something with gold, right? But because Sparks of Light is the third card, yellowing is giving it's an energy of radiance, right? So first there is gold, and then it's like warm, and it starts to radiate, shine, its sheen, its luster starts to like radiate light. For some reason, the phrase, what is the phrase? Zeal without, or something without something. Something without something is like fire without light. It may be zeal without knowledge. Whoa, was that Bible? I didn't know that. Proverbs 19 and 2. Also Romans 10 and 2. Zeal without knowledge describes intense enthusiasm or passion that lacks a sound understanding or basis, making it ineffective or even harmful. That's why we start with lead. We start with lead before we come into gold that starts to radiate light. This concept is rooted in the Bible, appearing in Romans 10 and 2 and Proverbs 19 and 2. This is the AI overview, by the way, which warn against fervent actions that are not guided by truth, wisdom, or God's will. Such misdirected fervor can lead to negative outcomes, hinder good intentions, or cause people to miss the mark in their pursuits. Misguided action. Okay, that's fine. Harmful outcomes. What's the saying, though? Like fire without light. Not, oh, girl. I done butchered this all the way up. think it's a quote. I guess it doesn't matter. The whole zeal without knowledge. Zeal without knowledge is fire without light. There you go. But, and like, that's the whole point of the rebirth of the phoenix, the journey through the underworld. That's how someone becomes more powerful. It was a goddess in the stories. Because without that knowledge, it's almost like it's an energy where children become their parents when they don't want to, where victims become victimizers or bullies, and when cycles that we wish to break or be broken, we become the perpetuators of a new sort of round around that wheel or a new cycle. I guess, yeah, there's rotation, rotatio. And this is, it's either like, and the zeal without knowledge, that's when we keep karmic cycles spinning. But with this rotation, as gold's radiance becomes luminary, it's almost like it becomes a new sun, or it takes on solar aspects. And then this rotation is the things that revolve around this new sun. The Azure Temple, and yeah, copper. Copper was at the bottom of the deck. And those are the things that we want because it's the metal associated with Venus. Right? Cool. And it's like we become a magnet for those things, right? That kind of energy. And it makes sense. Also, rotation could be like a 180. Things could completely like turn around, change for the better, rather than a 360 of they ultimately stay the same and we've just done a full loop. The king and the orphan. The mother, sorry. The king and the mother. The queen dowager. Is that what that means? Okay, well, we got our clean flip. And it's the flame. Bottom of the deck is the creator. Flame of the creator. Number 22, 2251. Oh, what's this? The shapeshifter. What I love about the flame and shapeshifter with this creator energy is it's almost like, so for example, let's potters mold clay on the wheel and then they dry it, they put it in the kiln, and then you get your pottery, right? But it's like instead of the potter molding the clay, it's like living clay that is in the hand of the creator that just shifts to fit whatever shape the creator wills. So instead of the creator molding the pottery by hand, it's molded by will. Under the creator is the king. Under the king is the heart. The flame in your heart. The fire within. Did we lose the plot? No. The thing about the way that the creator molds clay is the thing about molding clay by will or with will rather than by hand is sorry. I just thought of something, I'm sorry. Is and it's the again with the whole to have enough ego to maintain a sense of identity, a sense of self. If we don't have a strong sense of self, we can either lose ourselves in the realm of Thanatos or we emerge like shattered or fragmented. We need a strong enough sense of self to maintain some semblance of togetherness, but not so much that we are broken, right? To be the flexible tree, right? Rather than the one with extremely strong roots but has no give that gets snapped in the storm. Um, it's with the clay. When we mold something by will, it's almost like there's an allowance for external forces. And as the clay shifts its shape to fit what we imagine or what we visualize or what we see, it's like it can better respond to external forces than if we were to mold it by hand. And it's just like subtle, energetic interplay. Now, there are master craftsmen who it's almost like you get into the creative zone when you're working with your hands. And so, as you're molding with your hands, there is some kind of like communication with potter's sense where the clay is molded. Wow, the deck isn't even all together. Where the clay is molded accordingly. But if we don't have potter sense, then we make the thing as we think it should be made, and then it's like, I don't know, it's too dry or it's too wet, it's too brittle, it doesn't fire up right, it cracks, it breaks, all this other stuff because there's not enough account for external forces, not enough accounting for those external forces, not enough leeway given or whatever. I'm not a potter. What do I know? The desert and the creator. Interesting. All right. The true final alchemy archetype. Sorry, card. Ooh, girl. The judge and the father. Bottom of the deck is the creator again. The judge and the father. What an interesting duo. 214. This is Valentine's Day energy. 214. I'm gonna leave this to you. The Father and the Judge, with the bottom of the deck 22 being the Creator. All right, back to the animals. I saw the wolf at the cut. Now the whale is at the cut with the mouse. Whale and mouse is an interesting combination. With the mouse, it's almost like it doesn't seem like much. But with the whale, it's like when we actually get into it, it's kind of significant. And it can be one of those, like, if we're new on a job and we're not particularly, it's like if we're new on a job, for example, and we notice something, right? And we're like I'm noticing that this is like going on, this is happening. I'm noticing this thing, but like there are so many intelligent, capable people that like someone else must have noticed this. And if someone else noticed it and I'm still noticing it, then there has to be a good reason why, like, this thing is still in play. I just don't know what it is. So I'm not going to say anything because certainly somebody else would have noticed it. And if somebody did, then it would be different if it were a problem. And since it's still here, then I guess it's not a problem. And it's like that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes people just don't notice. Sometimes we are the ones that see. Sometimes we are the missing puzzle piece, or our experiences speak to something in a way that others wouldn't necessarily be aware of. All right, final animal, please. 2 at the most. 6 and 7 is kind of a lot. Oh, we got a clean fall. The earthworm is at the bottom of the deck. The card that came out is the unicorn. The unicorn and the earthworm. I think the unicorn is the third eye in this deck, which is interesting because is it or is it not? No. I, mm, like the earthworm is so like in the roots of things, digging tunnels, aerating the soil. If you cut it in half, both halves form a new whole. But the unicorn, with its like mythic properties, we wouldn't necessarily think that an energy that's so like in the roots and weeds of things as the earthworm would align with the unicorn because the unicorn is so fantastic. But with that third eye energy that I believe it has, because that's what the horn sprouts out of. You could say it's like seeing the play behind the play. You could say it's like seeing motivations. Um, But it could also be an energy of building foundations and structures, because it's almost like there's a plot of land or soil or whatever that is not growing, right? And so one might think that like the soil is bad or whatever. But it's almost like in reality, if you were to till the soil, aerate it a little bit, it would be good. And that's like what the earthworm does, right? So, what could be seen as mythical or fantastic, it's almost like in reality, it's just a deep, almost intrinsic understanding of what is. And it's almost like it's because the unicorn really knows the rules of the game or of like the system that it can do, like that it can accomplish amazing, incredible feats. That is almost like a kind of Virgo magic as we head into Libra season almost. I mean, as we are. So, anyway, that was whatever this is. I don't know if we found out why I'm still awake or not, but I do hope to get some nice rest after this. I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey, and way you find. And if you feel a pull or a call to something that lies beyond your understanding, not only do I hope you can suspend your disbelief enough to discover new potential truth or to just hold a different perspective, um, but I also hope you, I guess, a kind of patience with yourself? Question mark. I don't know. Anyway, thanks again for stopping by, Kirsty. Hopefully, speak to you very soon. Hopefully, in person. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see if there's any eclipse gift for me. Please. All right. Anyway, I'll catch y'all later. Bye.